3, go.
Good morning, everyone. I was in charge of doing the chapter 6 for this book, and the chapters on your most important asset, and it's your attitude. I think it's really beneficial for you guys to have a really good attitude all the time in everything that you do. What you put on Facebook, how you talk to people, like we're responsible. This is what I wrote. We are responsible for our attitudes. We can't blame anyone except ourselves. What we choose to focus on and let occupy real estate in our minds will determine our outcome. Beliefs can influence attitude. And then, so on here on page 123, it says, I highlighted 15% of success is due to technical training, and the other 85% is due to personality, and the primary personality trait identified in research is attitude. And our attitude determines what we see and how we handle our feelings. Those are the two factors that greatly determine our success. So one of the things I like to do is make sure that when we're on Facebook, say, that we keep all the negative off of Facebook, because people are always watching us. And keep your political stuff to a very minimum, because everybody may not have the same beliefs that you do, and you can get in a battle on there, and that's not pretty. So just keeping everything on there positive. I know I have a lot of people tell me that they like reading my posts in the morning, because I motivate them, and some of them, a lot of them aren't on my plan, and a lot of people I've got to come onto my plan and have me be their coach because they like my attitude. And they say, I have a lot of spirit. They like my, you know, whatever I do. I did a little dub smash yesterday or a couple days ago with Summer I hadn't done in a while, and that was really fun. I got some really good responses from that. So that kind of stuff just allows me to, you know, add people as my friend, and then go on their page and post encouraging things, and try to build a relationship with them. Okay, so how do you handle your feelings? This is another thing I was writing. Okay, do you roll out of bed going, oh God, it's Monday, and thank God it's Friday? In our business, do you roll out of bed dreading, this is me, in our business, do you roll out of bed dreading the follow-ups you have to make? Kick yourself because you didn't follow up with that person who asked you to call them. Think about everything you did wrong and forgot to do. That's your negative. Or do you roll out of bed, excited about making your connections, following up with clients, and spreading the word? Do you wake up determined to change someone's life? Are you excited about helping someone increase their life by 10 to 15 years? Are you excited about helping a father or mother live long enough to watch their children have children? I myself am a very positive person, so why is it that I stand in my own way? I find that I don't use my time well enough. I'm always worried about doing my client calls, and when I'm at home, where I can take notes. That's what I'm always worried about that. And how silly I think that is as I write this out. Obviously, with my job at UPS, people will understand of me sharing my time with them. Either that or they will reschedule with me. This is an excuse I use, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to read my it is an excuse I use in no way benefiting me. Okay, and then I went to page 127. Or 126 in the workbook, it says that it's in Denmark or something. Chinese tattoo artists, that they will, at a tattoo shop, they have Born to Lose tattooed on their body, some people, because that's what they have tattooed in their mind. And that's pretty sad, right? Somebody would actually tattoo that on their body. So is your success being sabotaged by a bad attitude? Fill in the following blank with the word that best describes how you feel about your chances at success. I believe my chances for success, and I feel them great. They're great. We're responsible for our attitude. The pessimist complains about the win, and the optimist expects it to change, and the leader adjusts the sails. We can choose the attitudes we have right now. We can choose to find all the excuses we want on how we can choose how to make our situations work positively for us. Look at the excuses you choose to continually use. The quick ones you pull out. You have yourself convinced that there is no way around it, so that that's just the way it's going to be. Think seriously on how you can change those. Like maybe you can't be talking on the phone. Maybe you can use a generic message and do Facebook follow-ups. Set a timer and devote that time to doing just follow-ups. Plan your day the night before, so you start with a plan. And this will change your attitude because you'll be in control, but going in the right direction this time. And then let's see. So on page 128, it says, the greatest day in life is when we take total responsibility for our attitudes. That's the day we truly grow up. And then there's this poem. We cannot choose how many years we will live, but we can choose how much life those years will have. We cannot control the beauty of our face, but we can control the expressions on it. We cannot control life's difficult moments, but we can choose to make life less difficult. We cannot control the negative atmospheres of the world, but we can control the atmospheres of our mind. Too often we try to choose and control things we cannot. Too seldom we choose to control what we can, our attitude. I'm sorry, I'm just reading through all my notes. And then this is another thing I found really interesting. This reminds me a lot of like the Dave Ramsey thing. It says, don't get destination disease. And this is something that Dave Ramsey talks a lot about too. Why people end up getting into debt a lot is because they want to keep up with the Joneses, that they're never happy with where they're at. So it says, don't get destination disease. If I only had that, I'd be happy. If I only looked like her, I'd be happy. If I only had that guy or that girl, I'd be happy. If I only lived in that neighborhood, drove that car, had a big butt, had bigger boobs, had a flatter stomach, whatever. Look at the gifts you have been given and be grateful for where God has placed you. You were created by God, and God doesn't make mistakes. So, and then on here it says, God chooses what we go through, and we choose how we go through it. When I wake up in the morning, I try to make sure that I pray before I do anything, and I'd be very thankful for everything that I have. I mean, even something as simple as smooth roads to drive on, a car that runs, a flushing toilet, water, food, a bed to sleep in. I drive by early in the morning, past a lady who's sleeping at a church every morning. She's a little bit crazy, and I see her walking around pushing her shopping cart every day, and I just pray for her as, you know, as I go by. I pray for the officers that are out there doing the jobs that we don't want to do. I try to keep my attitude on that kind of stuff really good because I'm pretty blessed on where I'm at. And I don't want to take things for granted. So I think that having a thankful attitude will help keep you on out of the negative, because people can start to go negative, like you get in a fight with somebody or a disagreement, and you want to just like pull things out and say, well, what about this? Remember when you did this? And what you're doing is you're carrying around this like baggage behind you, and you're dragging it behind you so that you can pull out of it and throw it at somebody every time they say something to you. And that just is going to keep you in a negative attitude. So another really good thing to have a good attitude is forgiveness. So you want to make sure that you don't hold on to that stuff. You can choose what occupies your mind. And if you choose to have all that stuff occupy your mind, you're going to have not a good attitude. And if you don't have a good attitude, people don't want to be around you. And if people don't want to be around you, they don't want you to be their coach. So you have to look at things that way. So let's see what else I have here. So it says, God chooses what we go through, and we choose how we go through it. Viktor Frankl's attitude as he was terribly mistreated in the Nazi concentration camp. His words to the prosecutors have been an inspiration to millions of people. He said, "The one thing you cannot take away from me is the way I choose to respond to what you do to me. The last of one's freedom is to choose one's attitude in any given circumstance." So many times people who have suffered adverse situations in their lives become bitter and angry. Over time, their lives will be negative and hardened towards others. The tendency for them is to point back to a difficult time and say, that incident ruined my life. What they do not realize is that incident called for an attitude decision, a response, and the wrong attitude choice, not the condition, ruined their lives. So how we choose to look at things we go through is going to help our attitude. Trying to look for whatever in those situations is good and reflect on those instead of what is bad is going to help you to forgive, humble yourself on things that you've done wrong, and have a positive attitude. Then C.S. Lewis said, every time you make a choice, you are turning the control part of you, the part that chooses, into something a little different from what it was before. And taking your life as a whole with all of your innumerable choices, you are slowly turning this control thing into a heavenly creature or into a hellish one. And people can catch our attitudes just like they catch our colds by getting close to us. So just want to be that bright light in a dark place, because there's a lot of dark out there. And you know, people would rather be around light than dark. A leader's attitude is caught by his followers more quickly than his actions. And I think I'm almost done here. And then it says, my attitude does not run on automatic. So this is something we have to work on daily to keep ourselves focused. That's, again, like why I get up in the morning and I give thanks for everything, because I think it really helps set my attitude to not be negative. And, you know, with everybody with cell phones and headsets on the car, if I'm talking to myself in the car on the way to work, nobody's going to look at me like like I'm crazy or something, like we used to. And let me see if I have anything else highlighted here. I may not be able to change the world I see around me, but I can change the way I see the world within me. So again, that goes to being thankful and humble and reflecting inside, and not carrying around a bunch of baggage that you're going to throw at somebody, just waiting for them to just say that, just that one thing that's just going to tick you off so that you can pull that out. And that really doesn't do anything for you except for get you upset and totally change your day. And then you have to refocus and bring yourself back around. And that, you know, if you don't notice you're doing it, then you're kind of miserable. You could be miserable for weeks on something like that. Begin to act the part of the person you would like to become and take action. And motivation is when you motivate, you get, let's see, I'm sorry. Blah, more coffee. You can't wait on motivation. Motivation, says John Brunner, is like love and happiness. It's a byproduct. So if you're angry, practice kindness. If you're greedy, practice generosity. Say the right words, read the right books, listen to the right tapes, be with the right people, which is why I'm here with you guys. Do the right things, pray the right prayer. The more that negative thoughts are weeded out and replaced by positive ones, the more personal renewal we will experience. So I call that harvest time. So here's what it says at the end, applying what I've learned. So here's what I wrote down, the 4 steps. Are the 4 things. It's just as easy not to do it as it is to do it. Start each day in prayer. Think before you speak. Be kind to everyone because you don't know what they're going through. And that's my thing. So does anybody have anything to add or questions?
That was awesome.
Well, thank you.
Really awesome. I think you highlighted like the same stuff that I highlighted, so it was easy for me to follow along. But I admire how positive you are. So if I'm ever feeling down, I'm going to pick up the phone and call you.
Okay.
You'll pick me up. But I just wanted to share a couple things that I got out of it, in addition to what you shared, just around kind of analyzing our own attitudes. And if we do have a bad attitude about something, like what steps can we take to actually change our attitude? So the last couple parts of the chapter, we're talking about, how to change your attitude. And then the final one was a new attitude. So I just wanted to share a couple of things there. So they talked about the 6 stages of attitude change. And really, all that is kind of looking at, what are some things that, you've become aware of in your own life that maybe you don't have the best attitude on. And those 6 steps would be to, identify the problem feelings. So that's the first thing that we need to do. Then secondly, we're going to identify the problem behavior. Then we're going to identify the problem thinking. Then so once we've identified all of those, issues there, now it's identify the right and then make a public commitment to right thinking. So I think that goes to like the accountability. If you make a public statement that, hey, I've got a bad attitude about my financial situation or whatever it is, and I really want to turn that around. And then we develop a plan for right thinking. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then in everything that I've reading, it talks about having an accountability partner, which I thought was really cool, and that really applies to our business. That's what we do as coaches and even as clients, we've got a coach that helps us with accountability, and that's so important. When you're making a commitment to change, that you have somebody that's going to hold you accountable to it. And I see that in myself as, there's lots of things that I'm working on, with myself, and if I don't tell somebody about it, like what my goals are, it's going to be really easy for me to just go, nah, I don't want to work on that today. But if I've got somebody that I'm thinking, help with this, I have a bad attitude about this, and here's what I'm working on, they can really help us with that. And then the last section was about a new attitude. And I kind of highlighted this section because it really applies to our clients and when they're ready for this change and for the right attitude. So think about, when we're bringing on clients, and we always talk about, oh, they're not ready, or they need to be ready. It's all about their attitude. And it talked about, the first thing is the timing, is the timing right? And we say that all the time, with our clients and our coaches, it has to be the right time. So in other words, are the conditions right to enable positive change? And then the second question is their temperature hot? So are the right conditions accompanied with a red hot desire to pay the price necessary for needed change? And when both of those questions can be answered with a resounding yes, then the resolve is strong and success is possible, which I thought was really cool. And then it kind of asked us to list, and I kind of thought about my clients and coaches as kind of listing their names and just asking, can they, which goes back to, do they have, the ability to, and then will they, do they have the right attitude, and kind of going through. And you can kind of see, out of the clients and coaches that I listed, when I circled yes for both of those, those are the ones that are successful. Those are the coaches that are successful, and those are the clients that are successful. And then what else did I say?
Oh, I had one more thing. I forgot. I made this diagram of like a positive and a negative attitude. So attitudes for failure. So I made a failing business attitude and a successful business attitude. And so I made one for each one. So on my failure, it says, I like my Facebook settings private. So the success says, I'll open my Facebook to public because it's free advertising and I will reach more people. then on the fail business, I don't have time to write my lines on paper. Writing my lines on paper will show me where I stand. And then the fail is they'll think I'm bugging them. And then the success is they're waiting for my call. The fail is I don't know how to coach. The success is we will work together. The fail is I don't have time. And the success is I plan my day. The fail is I don't know the answer to that. The success is we have all kinds of support so I can show you how to find your answers. The fail is they will think it's too expensive. The success is I will help them find their why. The fail is I don't have anyone to call. The success is people all over need our help because our health is the most important thing we have, and your friends know people. The fail is I'd rather listen to Pandora than self-improvement. The success is I will schedule my self-improvement for a half hour a day. The fail is I don't want to bother Garrett. He's busy. The success is I will check in with Garrett every day or every other day. The fail is my friends I hang with aren't in my business. And then my success is I will give myself downtime on desert weekends. So those are my fail and my success. So I made like what I think and then how to change it. So that's kind of the same thing that you're saying. It's my accountability of thinking that Garrett's too busy. And because he is, but he'll make time for me. I know where he works. And then one other thing I wanted to share, this is my my 7:30 post for Hootsuite. And it says, The Winning Attitude by John Maxwell. In flying, the attitude of the aircraft is what's known as the position relative to the horizon. When the plane is climbing, it has a nose-high attitude because the nose of the aircraft is above the horizon line. In contrast, when the plane is diving, you call that a nose-down attitude. Pilots are concerned about the aircraft's attitude because it dictates its performance. Let me see if I can read the rest of this. Ah! Hold on. Open up, guys. Okay, I'm sorry here. I'm trying to open this up. It's not letting me open it up because it's not scheduled yet until.
Well, we'll all look out for your post.
Yeah. So anyways, there's a thing, there's like a compass that's on the aircraft that has that, it's the attitude adjuster or whatever. So it's dictating where the plane is going. So on the horizon line. So we want to have a nose high attitude instead of a nose down. Because if we're nose down, we're not going anywhere. And if we're nose high, then we're going to go somewhere. So just check out my post at 7:30. It'll pop up.
So we have a couple of minutes left. Is there anybody else? I know you got a couple that are on the car and a couple that are dialed in. Anybody want to share their thoughts before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I do actually, Nicole.
Oh, yes.
It's funny because we're talking about attitude, and I'm getting really irritated because my internet's horrible at my daughter's school, and it keeps kicking me off. So my attitude is not great right now. But when I came back in, Melody was talking about altitude and planes, and that was one of the points I wanted to make, is that I had heard a long time ago that attitude determines your altitude. So I thought that was really cool that when it popped me back in, she was talking about that, because that's kind of what I was thinking. But, I mean, it's absolutely true. If we have a bad attitude, we're not going to go very high, obviously, because we're going to keep, messing ourselves up. But if we try to continually keep our attitude high, then our altitude is going to obviously be higher and higher. And then a couple months ago, our lead pastor at our church did a sermon series called Voices in Your Head. And one of the points that he made that really stuck with me is, he said, you can't control what flies around in your brain, but you can control what you allow to land. So, all these voices are going on in our head and they're controlling our attitudes, but we determine what we allow to land, and we determined how we allow that to dictate our days. So I thought that was really cool. But that's all I wanted to share.
I like that.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, that just got me thinking about, surrounding yourself with positive people. And, have you ever been around that person that just kind of sucks the life out of you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're called joy suckers.
Yeah.
They suck the joy right out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be around them, right?
Yeah, and we don't want to be that person.
And that's exactly what my point was, is, once you've been around people like that, it really makes you like search within. It's like, gosh, do people perceive me that way? And like, I really don't want to be that person that people don't want to be around. So it's just surrounding yourself with, just like we surround ourselves with like-minded people that want to get healthy. It's the same thing about attitude and positivity, and surrounding yourself with people that are going to uplift you and not bring you down. So kind of made me think about those people in my life that maybe I should be spending less time with. Because of, maybe the effect that they have on me, or that I choose to, allow them to have that effect on me. But thinking about those people that are really gonna, like I said, uplift you and keep you positive. It's refreshing.
Yeah, and it's something too that we have to work on continually. I love the story in this chapter of the guy you talked about. I think it was his granddad that was going to a conference on attitude or something like that. And he said, well, why are you doing that? You're such a positive person. He said, it's something that I have to continually work on. And that's true. Like, we never get to a point where we don't have to work on it.
Yep. And it's a choice we make every day, and how we're going to handle different situations. And going back to problem solving too. It's like you have to think about the problems. I mean, everybody has problems, and every day there's new challenges that present themselves. And, it's our choice as to how we're going to react to those problems. And are we going to be pessimistic? Or are we going to be optimistic? And, that's really going to help us get through it. Love it.
I think a lot of it has to do with when you're around those negative people, you have to figure out a way to ask enough questions to get them, to point them in a direction. Sometimes it's really difficult, but you just have to be there just to listen to them, just get it off their chest. Because sometimes they're not looking for you to answer their questions. They just want a sounding board. And it's really difficult to be that sounding board and not to absorb that. But sometimes it's just kind of what they need. I have some people in my life like that.
Well, if they think about our clients, and that, it's our job as leaders and as coaches to portray that positive attitude, because we're really going to be able to help out our clients. Because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I check in with my clients, maybe if they didn't have a good week, or they're struggling with just the mental side of this transformation, and they're not always so positive. They might be down on themselves or just down on life and don't know how to handle their problems. And that's really where we come in. And like you said, we've got to listen and with empathetic coaching, just be there for them and be that positive person in their life that can help them change their mindset. It's pretty powerful.
Yep, I agree.
Alrighty. 6:33, girl, bring us home.
Okay, I don't know who's going to lead the next call, chapter 7, but I will be working. This is my only time. I'm so happy that I got to do this certain chapter. I volunteered for it. I had no idea, and I was just like, oh, perfect. I have a good attitude, so this is perfect for me.
Love it.
So thank you guys for all being on the call, and I hope you guys found the information I had to share helpful. And I hope everybody has a really good attitude and keep everything really positive. And you really are affecting a lot of people out there. There are so many people watching you. So just, remember that and just stay positive, especially on the social media.
Thank you, Melody. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.